Okay. Hi, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa, and today I have the privilege of interviewing my favorite person in the whole world who I happen to be related to. This is Hermione. She's my god sister at our church in McKinney, Texas. And we thought it would be a good idea. We were just talking today. It's a massive snow day today up here in Texas. So as we were on our couches talking with one another this morning, we thought it would be a good idea to kind of get an idea of a female perspective on orthodoxy. And so I titled this OrthoGal's interview, if you will, instead of as a converse to Ortho Bros, and just see where it takes us. So anyway, Hermione, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Yay. All right. So I have a few questions for you, spot 5 specifically. First, I was wondering if you could start by telling us a little bit about your religious background and a little bit about you in general.
Yeah. So I was born and raised Southern Baptist. Went to a Southern Baptist school. It's where I got the basis for my theological training, all that stuff. And then, becoming an adult, I moved on to non-denominational Protestantism and then into being Methodist. And finally, I've arrived at Orthodoxy.
Yay. Okay, great. When were you baptized? This is number 2.
I was baptized a year and 2 days ago on Nativity.
Ah, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I didn't know that. That's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Here. Okay, great. And can you tell me, this wasn't on the list of questions, but what was there like a specific moment where you were like, okay, I'm Orthodox now? And if so, what was it?
Moment where I was like, okay, I'm Orthodox now. Kind of, yeah. So at this point, I had been going to the Saturday night vigils weekly for maybe 2 or 3 months. And I've got a really musical ear, and so listening to the choir, loved it and wanted to join, wasn't Orthodox. And so I went up and talked to Father, and I was like, hey, can I join the choir? Well, I asked the choir director, and she told me to ask Father. So I asked Father, and he just sort of point blank was like, well, I hate to put you on the spot, but are you going to become Orthodox or not? And I was like, yeah, and that was that. I had been sort of chewing on the decision for a while, but I just needed to be, point blank asked. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I guess I'm becoming Orthodox now.
So after that interaction with Father, were you like, oh, wow, I guess I am?
Kind of. That at that point, I hadn't become a catechumen yet. And so, I was just sort of hanging around for a little bit. But yeah, at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to jump in. And I became a catechumen like the next week or something.
Wow. So that was a pretty quick turnaround. It was the choir.
Yeah, it was. It's always has been.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. And you do have a beautiful voice. I'm so glad that you're in the choir. Hermione and I used to sing. We were alto sisters together, so I can vouch for the fact that this is indeed a musical gal here. So,
Thank you.
So that being said, number 3, what is the biggest reason you're choosing to continue being Orthodox? So the reason I ask is you made the decision, you became Orthodox, you fit into the choir, you are in, you're Orthodox. Now a year in, every day you make the decision to continue to come to church and to say, I'm an Orthodox Christian. What is it that keeps you Orthodox?
Oh, there's a couple things. I'd say that, let me check my notes here. Is this going to be edited?
Maybe? Yeah, I don't
know. Cool. Because I typed a lot of things. All right,
Great.
Cool. So yeah, I'd say that the biggest reason for me choosing to become or to continue being Orthodox is that it's the truth. Just like plain and simple. But also the church is like, it's a hospital and a gym for the soul, and my soul needs work. God is infinite, and I have an infinity of more progress left in reaching out to him. And yeah.
I love that. And specifically as a trainer, I love that analogy of the gym. So
Mhm,
you're right. It is a gym for the soul. So I need to be there as well. I have a little more work in the
mhm.
gym than I do in my spiritual life. So
We could get
okay,
infinitely more swole together.
that's true. Swole sisters
Yeah,
in
yeah,
church, Orthodox style.
yeah, Orthodox style.
Orthodox style. Ortho gains.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4. Getting a little deeper here. What is your biggest challenge, or was your biggest challenge, um, to maybe not to become Orthodox, but once you're in the world, right? What do you see as
Mhm.
your biggest challenge? Is it, give me a few things, or maybe the biggest things that you find is, oh, man, that's challenging. It's hard to show up, or it's hard to accept this, or.
Mhm. I'd say, man, I answered a different question in my typey types, so this is just off the cuff here.
You can do
Uh,
both.
ooh, okay. Um, so I'd say that like a biggest challenge in becoming Orthodox was that before I was Orthodox, I was a member of the LGBT community.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of emotional baggage to deal with when converting. You know, logically, it's easy to recognize truth and call it a day. But after that logical switch, it like takes it takes cognitive dissonance a lot more time to adapt.
I see.
Um, you know, the culture we're raised in is so thoroughly Protestant that the slightest admonishment of some person doing something is turned into a salvation issue. And, you know, I thought that being Orthodox, I was going to be condemning lots of people to the depths. Um, but it's only through being drugged to service and sort of steeping in the Holy Spirit that, you know, my inner conflict kind of released, at least for the most part. I think that I'll be unlearning little bits here and there in my mind and soul for the rest of my life, Lord willing.
Mm, that's interesting. And I love the way that you put that, that when you became Orthodox, you thought that you'd be condemning a whole bunch of people to what, fire and brimstone, is that what they put it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I love that that's actually not the case when we get here.
Mhm.
That, yeah, so I love that. Okay, great. Um, and finally, um, I guess I didn't put this, but what do you like best about Orthodoxy?
Oh man, what do I like best about Orthodoxy?
Yeah.
I love the the beauty and the theological structure behind why God gave us material and why God, you know, we're made in his image. And, that means to have at least a very limited capacity that he has. God is the creator, and we have a creative instinct in us. And so, I'm very into art and music and things that God gives us so that we can communicate with the resources that he gives us in really nuanced ways. And so I love that we unashamedly are pro beauty
Mm.
and creation.
Ooh, unashamedly pro beauty. I love that. Yee. I love the candles.
Me too. I love the candles.
I love the candles. I think it's so romantic and so beautiful. Even if
It's a
someone
vibe,
gets lit on fire.
especially like Saturday night in the winters
Ugh,
when it's like by the time vigil is happening, it's already dark and it's just candlelight. Oh, it's so nice.
that's what I think of when you say beauty. I feel like it's just so beautiful in the actual temple and quiet.
Mhm,
And you've got the sand in the basins, and you've got the candle.
mhm.
I just think it's gorgeous. You're so
Yeah.
right. Unashamed beauty. Um, okay, and finally, last question is, what do you want, if you could tell everyone, what would you want people to know, what it's like, how it is being a woman in Orthodoxy? Obviously, my intention with this question is to have your perspective on the internet world and how there's a lot of this manosphere kind of seeping into the Orthodox world. And I want to know from your perspective, being a woman that's younger in the Orthodox world, what do you want to know about people to know about how it really is for you being young and a woman, a convert? What do you want? What would you want people to know?
I'm also ill prepared for this type of question. I typed a different question. Oh, anywho. um, so I think, I mean, first of all, if I was going to tell something to young women who are inquiring into orthodoxy or already Orthodox and are just sort of trying to reconcile what the internet says about orthodoxy, I'd say, I mean, it's snowing outside, but touch snow.
Okay.
You know, your local parish, or there are a choice few communities online that can help, but going and talking to actual people, talking to priests who know what they're talking about, to matishkas, to
And just for
going
anyone
to
who a matushka is,
a priest's wife.
okay.
So wives of priests are, I mean, spiritually unified with their husbands because of the sacrament of marriage. And so they're a great resource to talk to about women specific issues. And, they're not ordained themselves, but they can have some really compelling opinions and perspectives on things. But, the church gives us such a wealth of information that we can go and absorb. And there's a very, very limited amount of that you can get through videos and podcasts. There are some really good videos and podcasts made by priests, or channels like you, but they're actually taking the time to read the fathers, to go to a convent and talk to the abbess and see what her perspective is, and finding all of these different perspectives, weighing them out with their own individual context.
Mm.
You know,
What would you find in, like, for you, what has been your best resource for being in the church? How have you found your I guess if you want to put it this way, like your femininity, how would you how have you become more of a woman? Like, what has, there's all these podcasts that are talking about what it is to be a man and be in the Orthodox world, and we don't have that. I don't know where we have any, anybody telling us how to be a proper woman. And I know from our conversations at church, you've struggled with this too. Can you tell me where have you gone to kind of grow as a woman in Orthodoxy and figure out what that looks like and how to address that?
Yeah, I think that, men have the most immaculate man to model their lives after, and that is Christ. And oh darn, if only we had a most holy and immaculate woman of some sort. This book is propping up my computer, so I'm just gonna like boop.
Ooh, we got visual effects.
Visual effects.
Visual effects.
Yes. So
are you talking about, if I am going to guess, are you talking about the Theotokos, which is our term for the Mother of God?
Yes.
The life of the Virgin Mary, the Theotokos. Is that what Alex gave you?
This is what Alex gave me. This is what my fiance gave me for Christmas.
So you are planning on getting married in the church then?
Yes.
Awesome. Can I come to your wedding?
Yes.
I'm coming to your wedding.
Yeah, you are going to be at the wedding.
Okay, good.
You are going to be at the wedding. So the church gives us this whole wealth of tradition and resources that talk about the Theotokos and her really individual role as the new woman, just as Christ is the new man. And, she's not God. We do not worship her as if she's God. But she is the mother of the church and the mother of saints. If being a saint, of being a good Christian, is having Christ inside of you, the Theotokos had Christ inside of her. For first and foremost, in the most visceral way.
Yeah.
But
you know what I like about her, I can't remember where I read it, but it was something that stuck in my mind was she heard the will of God and she did it. Like, that simple. Like, there was no, but I don't wanna, or, oh, can we not do it this way? Or should I? That sounds weird. It was just, she heard the will of God and she did it. And I love that. I thought that was really inspirational. Like, if we could just hear the will of God and do it, that's a pretty good role model. You're right.
I think that culturally we're told that hierarchy, like authoritative structures, should be rebelled against inherently. I mean, throughout history, the French Revolution, warlords usurping the past one with violence, even ancient gods, Zeus overthrows Kronos, Kronos overthrows Orenos, like there's this very long-standing tradition of people being taught that authoritative structures should be rebelled against. And the fact of the matter is that the Lord is king and he's clothed with majesty. It's the fact that, in the church, in scriptures, God is not described as the Speaker of the House. He's not described as, the main oligarch. He's, none of this. He's described as the king. And that when human authoritative structures mirror that divine monarchy, they can't exist, the monarch and the people. They need each other, and they thrive off of this relationship of trust. And so anything that tells you to rebel against authoritative structures could not be completely wrong, but also may not be completely right, because it's this system of trust and respect that's needed. And so,
I didn't hear the first person that had a rebellious spirit. That spirit of rebellion was Satan. That was the first one. So if we just inherently have this, I want to rebel against everything, anybody who's in charge, my boss, my, principal at the school, my religious leader, whoever, that spirit just by itself is a satanic spirit. And hearing that really was a light bulb for me. I don't know if that's the same for you, but it sounds like that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, liturgically, a priest cannot serve liturgy by himself. He needs the people there with him. And it goes both ways. And so when talking about men and women, when talking about, a whole list of
things that men and women might need each other?
Yeah. You know what? Wait. Men and women talk big game about each other, but I think secretly they like each other.
That's a hard one to swallow, but I'm gonna ponder on that and see if you might be right.
Yeah.
I think that is such a good thing to realize. It's easy to get that in your head, right? But in modern culture, we have been programmed to hate each other.
Exactly.
And what you were saying at the beginning of the interview was just come to church, right? Start coming to church, get off the internet and come to church. You can intellectually understand by hearing a podcast like this, oh, men and women should like each other. and you can intellectually understand that that's the way it should be, but to actually have the heart change is not really up, like to actually get it into your soul, you have
Yeah.
to bring your brothers and your sisters, like actual human beings in the church, and then talk to them on a regular basis over years. And then
Yeah.
over time, you will start to learn that, oh, I understand. I don't just intellectually understand that we are made for each other and we're supposed to be kind to each other. And this is how this is supposed to work together. I know that. And the only right way to get that is going to
Mhm.
church and meeting your brothers or your sisters in church,
Yeah.
under basically under God's eye, and God does the work. I found that to be extremely beneficial in my life. I don't know if you had any similar experiences. Obviously, you are getting married to an Orthodox Christian, so you have had some kind of turnaround.
Yeah. Um, I, you know, it is insane to think about where I started from and where I am. It's, um,
What would you say is the biggest change in you?
oh my goodness, the biggest change. I don't like women. No,
Like, you don't like women now, or you didn't like women then? Oh, in that
no,
context,
what?
what? Tell me more.
I'm not gay anymore. Um,
Did you see that? There was a reel going on Instagram that was, I think it was Pentecostal or something, but it was a guy that got on stage and he goes, "I'm not gay no more. I like women's." Did you see
I think so, I have, yeah.
that? Okay, that's good.
Okay, what was
I
the
would say
question?
for
I
me,
forgot.
huh?
What was the question? I forgot.
I don't know. It was, oh, what would you want to tell women in Orthodoxy? But that was a while ago. Or
Yeah,
women about Orthodoxy. And so I had asked you, what was the biggest change in your life since becoming Orthodox?
yeah. The biggest change in my life has honestly been this sense of respect and authority.
Okay,
You know,
respect.
not there's no such thing as blind obedience. And obedience is not a passive act. Obedience is very active and it requires a lot of self work to be able to carry that out well.
Mm,
And so I'd say that before I was Orthodox, other people couldn't tell me what to do. And you know that even went so far as to I had trouble setting goals for myself because I didn't respect myself.
mhm.
And so, who's gonna follow through on, the goal? The person who set that goal is full of crap. And so,
I'm laughing
yeah,
because I relate.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so having this sense of, and I will admit it is a very small modicum of self-control. I'm still working on it. But to be able to say, I don't want to do this thing and I am actively choosing to do it because I have that amount of trust and respect for the people's that say that it's good for me and tell me to do it out of love. And so garnering some of that trust is phenomenal
that's.
because, out of that springs forth the type of growth that I've wanted to see myself for a very long time.
Would you also say that a fruit of that would be protection of you as a woman?
Mhm.
Whereas before you have respect, and I'm speaking also with myself in this, before you have respect for authority and other people's, wishes, I guess, if you want to put it that way on you, and you don't trust anybody and you just kind of say, whatever, I got it. No one's really, you don't have any protection because you don't have any goggles looking out for you. Whereas in the church, if you are respecting people that you know are loyal to God and doing what the best they know, you have some protection.
Mhm.
I think that's a pretty big benefit as well. So your life has some guidance from multiple people and certainly from a spiritual father. And another thing about that was the inability to accept authority is also a satanic trait.
Mm-hmm.
That was Satan's first thing, is I don't respect God. So
Yeah.
that energy in itself, and I think which plays a big role in with us women, we don't want to pay attention. We don't want to be under the authority of any man. I mean, that's how I was raised. That's how, I functioned in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think only in orthodoxy is being in submission to your spiritual father and to certain people. And like you said, you're choosing. It's not passive. So once you become, I don't know if you agree with this, but you're very right. From my perspective, anyways, you're choosing to forego your learning and background of, let's forego all of this, manly advice. And now I'm actually choosing to put my obedience in the church for my protection, for my good, and because I'm following God.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It's just like someone who wanted to start running in the mornings, right? It's, that person may have trust in their doctor or their trainer or whoever. And same type of idea for the church.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me as a trainer, the more I have a client who completely says, whatever you say to do, I'll do it, the faster their results are, only because A, I do care about them very much. And second, I know what I'm doing. I've already done this path. Their results, depending on how much in controversy to my authority they are, and there's a lot of people that push, they don't get results. If they're just like, great, what are we doing today? They get results right away. They're super happy. And I look at that, and that I'm glad you brought that up, because certainly in my journey, I look at my spiritual father as my trainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the faster I can just say, what do you want me to do today, coach? What's wrong with me today, coach?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Hermione, is there anything else you wanted to say before we continue to enjoy our snow day from inside?
Oh, goodness. The church has a place for everybody. Any walk of life, any type of personality. Church has been here for 2,000 years. They've encountered someone like the person viewing this video, and there is a place for them.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And if you would be open to it, I would love to have you come back and answer more questions.
Of course.
Yes. Because you are in your 20s, correct?
Yes.
Early 20s?
I'm 23.
23. Okay. So it is indeed possible for someone in their young 20s to convert as a woman.
Yes. Yes, it
Very
is.
possible. And
Yes.
here he is.
Hello. Tis
Hello.
I.
Tis you.
Yeah.
And so
if anybody out there has questions or wants to talk, I'm sure that there is some way that you can forward them to me. I would love to talk.
Great.
I love to yap.
I, for one, love yapping with you. You are
Yes.
one of my favorite people at the church. I am so blessed to have you as a Godsister. This woman makes my life so much easier. She sits with me at lunch. She makes me laugh. She sends me funny reels. I love her very much. And I'm so excited that we get to do this Orthodox thing together. So thank you for coming on and sharing some pieces of you.
Thank you so much, sister.
Yes. And we will resume another time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.